it's Ashley from the Loopy Lamb, and today we are going to be making one of these really fun and festive snow-capped pinecone ornaments. It is a quick and easy project, and I've been able to get them done in about 10 to 15 minutes. So if you're looking for a last-minute ornament for your tree, this is a great project to start. Now, for the snow-capped portion of the pattern, I am using this Fable Fur yarn from We Crochet. For the purposes of the tutorial today, though, I'll be using this Felky yarn for a more rustic look, and it also shows up better on the camera. So Eisbar here, the white color, is the recommended yarn for the pattern, but feel free to use whatever color Fable Fur you'd prefer. Okay. Then we'll also need a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. This is my favorite from Furls Crochet. It's a Furls Odyssey and it's 5.5 millimeters. You'll also need a pair of scissors, a stitch marker. I find the larger locking stitch markers work better with the Fable Fur, just so you can see it better. You'll need a length of ribbon, approximately 10 to 12 inches long, doesn't matter. I have a few different options here which we'll be trying out. And you'll also need a hot glue gun and some glue. And mine is heating up here just off screen. You'll also need some pine cones. Got some here in the bowl. I've chosen a sparkly pine cone here that I got from Michael's. It came in a bag of them. There's, I think it was like $5 for a large bag of them. And most of them are very close in size to each other. So if you have a pine cone that has a base, so you would want to measure across the base here. It has a base of approximately 2.75 to 3 inches. That can work for this pattern, but I will give instructions on how you can adjust the pattern to fit pretty much any size pine cone that you have on hand. So if you're ready to get started, let's grab our hooks, grab our yarn, and let's get hooking. So for this project, you'll need approximately 16 yards of Fable Fur yarn. Now that will vary if you decide to make your piece bigger or smaller, but it is a very small amount of yarn that will be needed for this project. So again, we're using the Felky colorway here just for to make things a little easier to see. But if you're wanting that white, snowy, snow-capped look, then you're going to need the color Eisbar or white Fable Fur. To begin, we're going to take our yarn and we're going to create a magic circle. Okay, we'll do that by wrapping our yarn around our fingers. Grab your crochet hook under the first loop, over the second, pull it through, twist, and chain one. Okay, so I have a video here on this channel with my best tips and tricks for working with Fable Fur yarn. So if this is your first time working with this yarn, I would recommend that you go and take a look at that video before going ahead, because I won't go through all of my tips, but if you watch that video, you'll kind of understand what I'm about to do here. So we're going to work 6 single crochets into the magic circle. Don't work over that tail so it does not get tangled on you. Okay, so we're going to work 6 single crochets into that magic circle. And when you do your first single crochet, grab your stitch marker and place that into the first stitch so you can find it when you're at the end of your round. And we'll be moving this stitch marker up at the end of every round so we can always find that first stitch. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, then we're going to take that tail and pull our ring tight. Okay, so you should have 6 single crochets. Now for round 2, we're going to place 2 single crochet stitches into each of the stitches around. Okay, we're going to move that stitch marker. Helps if you keep your fingers where the stitch is when you're removing that marker so you can find it easily in it. There's 1. Move up your stitch marker. Now, if you're worried about mistakes, don't be overly concerned because the fur hides everything, right? So if it's not perfect, it's fine. Nobody will be able to notice the fur hides it all. So that's one of the great things about working with this fur yarn. So I just did my second single crochet in the first stitch, and we're going to do 2 in the second stitch. 1, 2, and we're going to continue that single crochet increase in each stitch all the way around until we have 12 single crochets. All right, so I have my 12 single crochets, and then so for moving on to round 3, we're going to place a single crochet in the first stitch and a single crochet increase in the second stitch. Moving up that stitch marker, so there's the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet in the second stitch. And single crochet in the next, single crochet increase in the next. And we'll do that all the way around until we have 18 stitches. Okay, so there's my 18 stitches, and we're going to move on to round 4. So for round 4, we are going to single crochet into that first stitch. Don't forget to move up your stitch marker. And we will single crochet increase in the next stitch. Then we will single crochet in the next 2 stitches and single crochet increase in the next. So we'll repeat that pattern of 2 single crochets followed by a single crochet increase for 5. We'll repeat that 5 times, and then we will do a single crochet in the stitch that remains. So we'll do that again. Here's your first and second single crochet, then a single crochet increase. Single, single, increase, single, single, increase. Right, so I'm at the end of the round. I have this 1 stitch remaining that's unworked, and we'll just place 1 single crochet into that stitch. So at the end of round 4, you should have 24 single crochet stitches. So at this point, if you're wanting to make your piece bigger, then you would continue increasing the increase rounds, adding 6 single crochet increases each round until you have a piece that just covers the base of your pine cone, and I'll show you. So right now at the end of round 5, this just covers the bottom of the pine cone, right? The fur matches up with the sides. Okay, so if you're wanting to make it bigger, you would continue increasing until you've got that size. If you're wanting it to be smaller, you would omit some of the increase rounds that we did again until your piece just fits the base of your pine cone. And then when it just fits the base of your pine cone, we are going to add the next round of stitches. So in the pattern, this would be round 5. And so we're going to single crochet in that first stitch. Make sure you've got your stitch marker handy. Move that up. Then you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and single crochet in the next stitch. Now what this does, I'm just going to put this down to show you what we're doing here. So what this does is it kind of creates this kind of jagged edge around. It's because of the fur, it doesn't look like a chain 3 would if you're using normal worsted weight, like acrylic or wool yarn. The fur really hides those stitches. But what it does is it creates kind of almost like an icicle effect. It makes it look a little bit more legit in that, because snow is not going to fall every time perfectly even. So it just kind of looks like the snow is kind of dripping off the edges of your pine cone. So it creates a really pretty effect. And so we're going to continue this around. So I just did my single, and then we'll single crochet in the next stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and single crochet in the next stitch. Okay. And we will repeat that pattern all the way around. So single crochet in the next stitch, chain 3, single crochet. Okay. Single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the next. And again, don't worry if this is perfect. It doesn't have to be. The fur is very forgiving. And who's going to be able to tell if you have an extra chain 3 or you're missing one? Nobody but you, right? All that matters is that you are happy with the end result of your project. I'm doing a single and another single. And you see how I'm feeling for my stitches here? The fur makes it hard to see the stitches, but that's okay. If you don't feel your stitches, you might want to go up a hook size until you feel them. So it's a little easier for you to know where you're putting your hook. And I'm just doing my last chain 3 here. Oh, wait, no, see? Almost, but not quite. And we're going to single crochet in that last stitch. And then we're going to join the last stitch to the first stitch with a slip stitch. Okay. Cut a tail to finish off, and you will weave that in. Okay. So I'm going to weave in our ends here, and I'll be right back and show you the next steps for our piece. So now I've got my fur piece here, and it doesn't look like a whole lot, just looks like a circular piece of fur. You can take it and tease these ends here to kind of give them a little bit more definition. Just tugging gently does a whole lot for it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to create our hanger, and you can use pretty much any ribbon that you'd like. My personal preference is a satin ribbon on the thinner side. So this one here, one's my favorite. This is a 9mm or 3/8 of an inch satin red ribbon. But I also have this gingham ribbon that a family member gave me on the weekend, and I think it's going to look great with this fur, so I'm going to use that for today. So you're going to take your ribbon and thread it onto a tapestry needle. And you're going to come up near the center point of your fur piece from the back of the piece to the outside. Okay. Then we're going to go back into the piece on like that. You want to find the stitch. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my needle and kind of feeling around for a hole in the stitch, right? I don't want to go through the actual yarn. I want to go into a hole of the stitch. So we're going to go through the other side. And make sure you've got a hanger about the length that you'd like it to be. And then do an overhand knot. Make sure that's nice and tight there. And then trim off any excess that you have. And then pull your hanger up. Okay. So again, still doesn't look like a whole lot. We've got a round piece of fur and a little piece of ribbon on it. So we're going to use the hot glue gun next. Now, I've had mine heating up off camera here. Now, I will caution that if you are, like, the pine cones have this hollow point here, putting the glue in this hollow isn't going to allow the glue to stick the fur to the pine cone. So I always add the glue to the side of the fur that will be applied to the pine cone. Now, please use caution when you're using the hot glue gun so that you don't burn yourself. And make sure that the furriest side of the piece of your fabric is what is facing out. So we're going to use our glue gun. Make sure your ribbon is pulled all as taut as it can be. And then you're just going to apply a generous amount of hot glue in there. And don't be shy, because I really want this to stick. Okay. I'm going to put that off to the side. Take your pine cone and just sit it in the base, in the center of your fur base here, right? Okay. Don't press too hard because you'll break your pine cone. I've done that a couple times, so just be careful about that. Okay, so we'll just let that sit for a minute so it can cool down. And you'll see once you glue your pine cone that the fur on the edges kind of should cup your pine cone. But if you push on it, it's just going to sit straight and kind of look a little weird. So once you have that secured and you think it's all good to proceed, very carefully kind of separate that lip of the fur from the pine cone and add a small bead of fur approximately where the last round of crochet is, but not on the chain 3s, because you want those to kind of sit naturally. You don't want them to be too stiff. And so I'm just going to work my way around the pine cone and the base, adding that yarn, or that glue, goodness, I can't speak this morning, and securing it to the sides of the pine cone, just so that overhangs and cups your pine cone nicely. Okay. So again, because we're working with a pine cone, it's got some gaps in it. Don't be shy about adding that glue. And if you're not sure, add it to the actual edges of the pine cone so it will sit nicely on it. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, put that off the side here. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of cut this in my hand, move it around. Oops, see? Got a piece loose on my pine cone here. All right, there we go. And that's it. That is our finished pine cone ornament. And I really like this color on the pine cones because it just kind of gives it a kind of rustic feel. And I think it's just really pretty. So if you're looking for the written version of this pattern, you can find that on my blog, theloopylamb.com. And ad-free PDF versions of the pattern are available in my shop in both Ravelry and Etsy. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. And if you're looking for any of the materials that I used in this video, I'll be sure to link to that in the description box below. And please feel free to leave any questions or comments in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you in any way that I can. Thanks so much again for watching, friends. Happy hooking, and I'll see you next time.